You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
The worst part was the face nuke.
What? I loved that part.
When they drove their sub faster than an explosion.
You're watching a movie about giant lizards. You want subs to go just realistic speeds?
Yes, I would. Damn it, the studio door is locked.
Hold on a second. My key doesn't work.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, guys!
Eli, you know what's going on with the studio?
Yeah, I do, because I got us a new studio. It is so awesome. It has the best view. You guys are going to love it.
You got us a new one?
Yeah. This week is the Arctic Balloon Expedition, and I thought, what better way to be a top podcast than, do you know, be a literal top podcast?
I want my old studio.
Let me finish. I took all the European tour money that we saved up so we could go to Europe.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and I subletted out the studio to two really great guys. They're going to keep that name, Gloria Hole Studios, too, which is cool.
Cool. Were they nice, those guys?
Yeah, one of them sucked my dick, so yes.
Right.
Okay, but where is the new studio?
I bought a hydrogen balloon.
I want my old studio.
You what?
Isn't it amazing?
It's literally a deflated canvas bag.
Okay, we are never going to be a top podcast with that attitude, mister.
How are we going to get power?
Unrelated.
I want my old studio.
Well, I have a plan. I rigged up a series of mirrors that you can position, and if you look through them, you can see the power strip I have plugged in on the ground.
Yeah, truly the greatest engineering feat mankind has ever witnessed.
Thank you,
Well done.
Keith.
I want my old studio.
And don't ask now, if you step a little to the left and you look into the mirror, you can see the microwave and the router. So we will have Wi-Fi and, Noah, as many hot pockets as we want up there.
Yeah, cheer up, Cecil. It could be worse.
2 votes. There we go.
I mean, at least he didn't meet us at the door with a balloon filled with hydrogen. There's that.
Do you have to fill this?
I want my old studio.
You don't have to fill it.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we are experts. Because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Cecil, and I'll be flying high this week, but not without my other aviators. First up, the calm pilot that assures us nothing is on the wing, and that thing on the wing, Noah and Eli.
Okay, well, but what if I just assure you that that's the best place for
Look, it was Southwest or the wing. I made the right choice.
You did. Also joining us tonight, the drunk guy in coach and the drunk guy in business class having a loud cross-plane conversation, Heath and Tom.
Okay, somebody in first class just switch with me, and this is all solved. We don't have to yell. We're still going to yell, but not across.
Impossible, Cecil. I'd never talk to somebody in coach. That's
You're talking to me right now. Deal with it. This counts.
can't even hear you.
You're basically poor now.
Non-patrons, think of this podcast as an almost certainly doomed expedition. Without your help, we are going to die of exposure, which means something totally different when Eli is part of your podcast. So If you'd like to help us resupply, be sure to stick around till the end of the show and we'll tell you how. And with that out of the way, tell us, Eli, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
We'll be talking about the doomed Arctic balloon expedition of Solomon August Andree.
And Tom, you spent a few minutes trying to find a hilarious way that people die. Are you ready to lift off?
I'm all gassed up and ready to plummet.
All right, Tom, tell us about Andree's doomed Arctic balloon expedition.
Okay, but to understand the story, you have to first understand a little of the historical backdrop that was its setting.
Boom! That's terrible.
I want you to trust
Oh my God.
Okay, I deserved that. That's fair. That's entirely fair.
Murder.
That's on me. That's okay. You got all right. The 19th century was the age of exploration. All right, as parts of the world were explored by brave white people willing to shoot and stuff and catalog whatever was native to the new worlds that opened up to them, the interest of the public and international reputations ramped up. The second half of the 19th century is sometimes referred to as the, quote, heroic age of Antarctic exploration. And while Antarctic only covers the South Pole by name, the North Pole was of equal or greater interest to the world at large.
You took a right at the equator? Fuck. Well, we're here. We might as well look around, I guess. What the hell?
I don't know how heroic it was. Like, at a certain point, they're just trying to knock diphtheria out of the top 10 causes of death, right?
And by the way, listener, if you're wondering why Tom said brave white people, that's because all the brave brown people in the 19th century were in those places fighting off the white people. They had other stuff going on.
As long as we can agree that there were good people on both sides. All right. So, in fact, speculation about what may lay in the great icy beyond of the north was kind of fucking insane. So, remember, this was a time when people knew just enough to get in trouble and not enough to know that they were fucking fools. So, I guess times haven't really changed from that. Anyway, famous authors of the day, from Shelley to Edgar Allan Poe, they set their stories against an Arctic backdrop because that was a place where anything might happen. Reputable sources at the time thought a lost race of giants lived in the Great White North. And seriously, no less than the very president of Boston University thought that Atlantis, King Arthur's Avalon, and the Garden of Eden were all located somewhere up around the North Pole. Now, crazily, quote, these ideas were taken very seriously and no one could refute them because no one had ever been there. And that's according to a guy named P.J. Capoletti. That's an anthropology professor and associate at the Polar Center at Penn State University. So obviously people had to go there, right? It's fucking Garden of Eden. Cue our hero, Solomon August Andree.
Admittedly, though, if the Garden of Eden was a thing and it was in the North Pole, you would not have to have a very big fig leaf at all. Just a tiny little fig leaf would work.
It's like a fig stem.
Exactly. You'd be fine.
Stem. Now, the prevailing attitude at the time of manly daring do and a quote like, hey, we just invented using hot water to move stuff so we can do anything. That combined with the aforementioned international exploration fever, and this produced this man, this Andree. He was an engineer with the patent office in Stockholm. He had a passion for ballooning. Don't get excited, Heath. Not that kind of ballooning. Just hot air ballooning.
What? What's ballooning?
Nope.
Everybody's playing. You guys always do this.
Look it up for him.
Google
Come
it.
on.
Look it up. Your own life.
Is it a sex thing? I feel like
Andree?
you're describing it.
Everything's a sex thing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
That
use a
answers-
balloon like in? I don't, just
Everything
okay.
can be a sex thing.
All right. So
Where does it go?
Andree was obsessed with this newfangled high technology world of hydrogen ballooning.
Ah, the humanity.
And he proposed a scheme wherein he would set off in a hydrogen balloon from Svalbard, float up and over the North Pole, and land maybe in Canada or Russia. We'll see which comes first. Balloons are not an exact science.
He goes in front of the Royal Court of Sweden trying to explain it. He's like, all right, here's my plan. And then he just lets go of an open balloon. It flies around the room. Somebody hold up a globe. Do you got it? All right, any questions?
Also, can someone get that? I need like a pole or something. Oh, it's in the corner. That's going to be there forever.
So in 1893, Andree bought his first very own balloon, the Sve, which he took out on 9 voyages just himself. None of these should have given him the confidence to take a party favor as his transportation method across an unknown frozen wasteland. All right. Combined, from the 9 trips in the Sve, Andree traveled 930 miles. But the prevailing winds had the rather unfortunate habit of taking him out and across the Baltic Sea, sometimes pushing his balloon low enough that the basket skimmed across the surface of the icy water and bounced and slammed him against the rocky islets of the Stockholm archipelago. On one occasion, it blew him across the entire Baltic Sea and all the way to Finland.
It's pronounced Japan.
Thank you. Keith.
The longest trip he took, he didn't even understand that he had taken. Blown wildly off course, he drifted across the breadth of Sweden, out over the Baltic to the island of Gotland. And even though he saw breakers and the ocean and a lighthouse, Andree remained convinced the whole time that he was over land and maybe the occasional lake.
What? Huh. Man, them hills sure seem to be in a hurry. What the hell? What?
I love this. This is the I feel lucky Google button of transportation. This is fucking amazing.
It is. And like, obviously steering a balloon is about as hard to do as like steering a balloon. So Andree engineered and put like a crazy inordinate amount of faith in what he called drag ropes. The idea of drag ropes is that these enormous, massive, heavy ropes would act as ballast and also as friction. And this would slow the balloon down enough that the sails would be useful for steering.
What?
Best case scenario, according to Andree, if everything worked great, was that the combination of sails and drag ropes would give Andree about 10 degrees of control in deviation from the direction of the wind. 10 degrees.
What?
Okay. So that's 340 degrees of failure built into this plan.
Yep.
I wonder how many degrees he thought there were, just total. And how important he thought denominators were.
Right.
You know? I'm a numerators guy. I'm not really big into
So it is the I feel lucky Google button, but with Flintstones braking. It's about as useful as our foreign policy, you know?
Indirigible.
All right, now, to give you some idea, modern balloonists reject the
I
idea
have questions.
They reject the idea that Andree would have been able to deviate at all from the wind's direction with drag ropes or sails, which is why no one uses this shit. And they chalked up his claims to wishful thinking and a lack of competence. Drag ropes have a tendency to snap and twist together and like fall off the balloon. And even when none of that shit goes wrong, they're still wholly ineffective. They don't do anything. So naturally, Andree decided to risk his life and his expedition on a rope-based technology.
Well, okay, wait. So the 1 in 18 chance of not dying was wishful thinking? Damn.
Hey, everybody, I'm pretty sure every time I roll a 4 on this D20, I gain control of my balloon. So I'm going to try and fly it into a volcano. Who's in? 2 people? Awesome.
More than no one?
Don't forget the champagne.
All right, so Sweden, for its part, was not having much luck in the Arctic exploration game, and they were becoming kind of embarrassed by all the successes that Norway was having. And Norway, in other general arenas, was considered to be something of a lesser nation, so this was embarrassing for Sweden. Andree was all fucking jazzed up about his balloon idea, and he found it easy to gain the enthusiasm and support of the Swedes, claiming that to be successul, an Arctic balloon voyage need only satisfy 4 conditions. This is all
Already, this is wrong. It's definitely more than 4.
I got just 4 things. It's fucking naysayer. Number 1, it must have enough lifting power to carry 3 people and all their scientific equipment, advanced cameras for aerial photography, provisions for 4 months, and ballast. Altogether, about 6,600 pounds of shit. So that's the first minor
One.
Check.
hurdle to just. All right,
Easy.
2.
Throw that up on any list.
Yep. It must retain the gas well enough to stay aloft for 30 days.
Sure. Yep. Yep.
3, the hydrogen gas must be manufactured and the balloon filled at the Arctic launch site. Very important.
Obviously.
Gotta buy domestic, right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Call me old-fashioned, but when I buy a giant ball of exploding vapor, I buy it local.
Sir, you're allowed to check 2 bags. This is 83,000.
I will fit
cubic
this into
feet
the
of
overhead.
hydrogen.
I will fit it into the overhead. I can do this. Get away from me. Stop helping.
Under your seat. Put it under your seat,
No,
sir.
my feet. I need room for my feet. I'm getting this in.
I'm going to fit 4 months of provisions in the overhead, goddammit.
And I'm going to steal Lucinda's armrest.
Are you in zoning group 4? Or you need to go back out.
And finally, it must be at least somewhat steerable.
This seems important. Yeah.
Okay. Somewhat steerable. If your checklist for success, for literally any project, has the phrase "at least somewhat," you wasted money on a checklist. That was dumb.
Sure did.
All right, fine, Heath. I won't help you make a Tinder profile. Sorry for being realistic.
All right, now, Andree believed that all 4 conditions were easily met with technologies available from balloons in France, which had the gas retention he needed and were of sufficient size to carry the equipment, from mobile hydrogen filling equipment, and from his own crazy delusions that he could steer a hydrogen balloon. At a lecture in 1895 in front of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, Andree also got, well, I guess he got everything else wrong, is what he got.
He's standing in front of everybody. And when we get to the Arctic, we'll fill up on hydrogen in Avalon at the gas station. It couldn't be easier, guys. It's real easy. Just stop and shop.
At the Garden of
Yeah.
Eden.
It's like, it's a Circle K there. It's really nice.
Circle K. We'll get those roller dogs. It's going to be fine. We don't even need a pack.
Exactly.
Light lunch. Just a
Yeah.
light lunch.
Bring more champagne. What the fuck?
So Andree claimed that a summer Arctic voyage would be ideal. He thought that the balloon would be easily steered by use of these drag ropes, and that since it was basically light out all the time, they could travel around the clock, and that would have the time they needed for the voyage because they wouldn't have to tie down at night. So he also thought that because summer is a word that means warmer and not evidently understanding that Arctic is a word which means, yeah, but not actually warm, stupid. He thought that the balloon would not lose buoyancy at night due to low temperatures. He also thought that there would be little to no precipitation in the Arctic summer, and he would thus not have to contend with ice and snow and rain weighing down on his balloon. And the only parts of this that he got wrong were all of the parts of this.
All right, so as long as the Arctic is warm and free of snow and ice, this should be entirely survivable, provided you can steer a balloon with beefed up anal beads. Who's in? Who's in?
So nonetheless, the Academy decided to give him the equivalent of $1 million for this balloon. Alfred Noble also kicked in a bunch of cash.
Because $1 million wasn't good.
Yeah.
The press and the international community was fully on board with this thing. They saw this trip as a testimony to the power of modern scientific exploratory efforts and advancement. And once word got out about his plan, well, balloonists in France and Germany expressed some concerns that this plan was literally impossible in every way. Like there's no chance this was going to work. This failed entirely to dampen Swedish enthusiasm or to deter Andree in the least.
Yeah. Swedes aren't huge on stopping you from killing yourself with or without a balloon, so they were probably like, there you go.
So they set about building their death trap or balloon of great price, whatever they were calling it. And they had to overcome some pretty serious technical hurdles, like where were 3 people going to sleep? Spoiler, they wouldn't.
Right, because it would be day the whole time. They wouldn't have to.
I'm not even tired when it's daytime, so I won't be tired the whole trip. And they also had to figure out, like, how are they going to cook food on a 30-day hydrogen balloon voyage, seeing as how hydrogen is just insanely fucking flammable. So for that one, they created a special stove that they dangled 26 feet under the basket.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
Not 25, because that would be fucking crazy.
Yeah. Gosh.
Dangerous, yeah.
Which there was a series of angled mirrors they could look at to make sure it was working. Guys, they were sciencing so hard at this point.
I have so many questions.
Right.
Did they have to light it when it was 26 feet underneath it? Or did they have to lower the food down into it like the crane game once it was on? I have so many questions.
He's got rotisserie chickens on a spit just spinning around in a fucking fireball of
spinning
hydrogen.
it's spinning like a fucking dreidel on that thing. It's just spinning like crazy.
But just in general, what the fuck are they doing? Make some trail mix.
No
Are you
shit.
serious?
Yes.
Your vehicle is literally a hydrogen bomb. Don't have a stove.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. Are we supposed to not have warm soup? We're going to the Arctic, you idiot. Can't have an oven because we're near hydrogen. That's you. That's what you sound like. Now give me $1 million.
So in 1896, he decides he's going to give this thing a go. He selected Niels Gustav Ekholm and Niels Strindberg to be his playmates on this stupid fucking voyage. Ekholm was an experienced Arctic meteorological researcher, and Strindberg was a brilliant student researcher in physics and chemistry. And if neither of these guys sound like Bear Grylls, that's because they were all described as, quote, indoor types, which
Nerds.
which if my indoor type kids are a template, that means they couldn't survive a brisk fall day on their own. Right? Unfazed, they decided to rely on mostly good luck as their primary means of getting to their desired
Rolling
destination.
those fours.
And they thought the voyage would be like a cozy Arctic balloon fort sleepover.
That's fun. All right, guys. Fuck, marry, kill. Ready? Ourselves.
Yes.
What order?
All right, so they gassed up their balloon and they set off. And immediately, first thing, the wind blew straight at them in the opposite direction they wanted to go because it's wind.
Yep.
And they just kind of hovered there, tied to the ground for a while until they gave up. They came down and they just let all the gas out of the balloon.
Andree's scribbling down notes. He's like, okay, notes for next time. 1, go in opposite direction. 2, untie balloon. I got this, guys. I got this. We are going to fucking crush this. Yeah.
Our spinnaker's facing up. I don't know what the fuck's happening.
I feel like that would put a damper on the start of the journey, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right.
3,
2,
1.
lift off.
Damn it. Shit. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. 1 second. 1 second, everybody. Fuck.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. No.
Are you-
Nope.
what?
That's not fucking doing
What
it.
did you try to do?
Fuck. Okay. Just bring me down. We got to do it over. We got to take out all the air and do it over.
Lift off?
Shut the fuck up, Greg.
Lift off. I'm gonna fuck you in that basket.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, now, Ekholm became skeptical that the balloon was going to retain its buoyancy. He calculated, no shit, that the 8 million stitching holes in the balloon were going to be something of a problem,
8 million.
and that no amount of duct tape was going to help this problem. So
Negative.
when he ran
Hydrogen's
the
not that big, right? How big is hydrogen? I feel like it's
pretty big. It's
what? How much is one hydrogen? Is it? It's the first. It's the first one. It's the fuck. Okay.
it's the lightest thing. Damn.
Damn it. You guys want to use vapor uranium?
it all stays right in there. We're dead for different reasons. So when he ran the numbers, he figured that the balloon had 17 days tops of lift given their load of equipment. Now, Andree disagreed. And by disagreed, what he actually did was he hid from Ekholm the fact that he was regularly topping off the balloon with hydrogen before his tests were run.
What?
So it was worse than Ekholm had calculated.
Oh, no.
Hey, buddy. Is that a giant ball of hydrogen in your mouth?
No.
No. You sure? Did you just cough a fireball?
That was you.
Okay.
All right, so the 1896 voyage was a total fucking bust, but Andree was determined to die in the cold, so he fired Ekholm with his stupid math, and he found Knut Frankel. Now, Knut's primary recommendation for the job, no shit, was that he was really good at hiking in the mountains. That was like what he did. Super good. So on July 11th, 1897, Frankel, Strindberg, and Andree climbed into a huge hydrogen balloon and decided to let the winds take them to glory. And so they set off into the sky.
Before he gets in, he looks at the camera and says, "Hi, my name's Andree, and this is Jackass." All right, so this is going to end well. I could just feel it. So before we get to the sunshine and rainbows of a happy ending of this story, let's take a little break for apropos of nothing. What do you say, guys?
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Solomon. Super excited to be here today at the Swedish Academy of Sciences talking about my big balloon trip to the Arctic idea.
Wouldn't you have an accent?
So, here's the planning. Because I'm brave. That's why. I'm going to take a balloon in and some dudes and I'm going to fly it to the top of the earth. Any questions?
Yes, how you're going to steer?
Great question. Glad you asked. With ropes on the ground.
Ropes on the ground?
Yes, ground ropes. Yes.
Yeah, how are you going to account for the elements of the Arctic?
Again, great question. I'm going to wear a coat, so, should be fine. I think we have time for one last question. Yes, Mr. Nobel.
Me?
Yeah.
Can I give you $1 million?
Me too.
Don't forget me.
Awesome, this went great.
Well, when we last left off, three guys with a dangling oven and a leaky balloon thought they could no-prob their way into the most unforgiving places on Earth. So, Tom, what happened next?
Well, what happened is things went poorly immediately. Like, almost as soon as the ropes were cut, shit went south.
I hate to be this guy, but as we learned before the break, before the ropes were cut, shit went south. Yeah.
All right, so those great drag ropes, they became immediately twisted and tangled, and they dragged the basket so low that it dipped into the water of the ocean. And the ropes, which had a safety feature that allowed them to detach if they got tangled, well, they fucking detached.
Oh.
So 1,170 pounds of rope immediately came unmoored from the basket, and then the frantic explorers, desperate not to drown in the first half hour, dumped 400 pounds of sandbags overboard as well. So the Eagle, which was supposed to be a steerable, hyper-modern aircraft, was now what it always was. It was a giant, out-of-control balloon with three idiots in it, blown about at the mercy of the winds to wherever this nature decided they should go.
Question, was the safety feature for releasing the ropes called giant sword in the tiny basket with three idiots all getting tossed around by the wind?
It should have been, but no. The balloon, now unencumbered by ballast, rose to 2,200 feet. This was far higher than they had intended to go.
They got the sword dangling 26 feet down.
So as they went up here, the lesser pressure allowed more of their precious hydrogen to escape from the 8 million tiny stitching holes in the balloon. And this sounds really bad, but they had two really great ways to communicate if and when things went wrong. You see, no shit, they had homing pigeons and buoys.
Oh,
This was it, guys. So the buoys were basically they were messages in a bottle that you throw at the ocean with notes written in them like,
Oh.
help, we've made a terrible mistake. That's what I would write on the first one. And then the pigeons, guys, because you're making this seem stupid. The pigeons were birds that if everything went swimmingly would fly to where they were bred, and that was Norway, not
Oh.
Sweden, interestingly enough.
Okay.
So then somebody in Norway would have to capture the pigeon, then take the message container off the bird and follow the instructions to bring that message to somebody in Sweden. So
Yeah, and then 40 days later, the bird returns with a "not at this address" stamp on it.
Okay, but I'm sorry. Wait, were these Arctic pigeons? I feel like that's not a native pigeon environment up there.
all right, so of the buoys, 2 were actually found. The messages were basically nonsense. They just amounted to coordinates and a bit of what I can only assume was pun-based hyperbole, claiming that, quote, spirits were high.
All right. Give it up. Come on.
And of the pigeons, 1 pigeon was found when it landed on a steamer ship and was promptly shot. And that message was similarly pointless, so...
That's so much better than I thought the pigeons would do.
Okay, we're one of the directions from these coordinates. Come save us.
Or at least we were one.
If you're reading this and have a stable giant hot air balloon, read section B. If not, never mind, because we'll need someone in a balloon.
All right, now, Andree kept a pretty detailed diary, which is how we actually know what happens next. And his diary was rather more honest than his lighthearted pigeon recipes that he was sending out.
Recipes.
The balloon was completely out of control. This is amazing. It was behaving much like you might imagine an uncontrolled balloon might behave. Completely out of equilibrium. So it has no ballast, nothing to keep it stable. So the balloon alternately rose to incredible heights, wherein it lost massive amounts of hydrogen, fell crashing back down to the earth to skim across the sea and bounce across the waves and the ice. Then as the cold set in, it rose again just as quickly.
This is actually a ride at Action Park.
Yeah.
And despite it being summer, it was, as you may recall, summer in the Arctic. So the balloon was fucking constantly soaked with rain. The total actual free flight of their balloon lasted only 10 hours and 29 minutes. That's airtime. They then spent the next, no shit, 41 hours just skimming and crashing across the land, slamming repeatedly into the ground, unable to stop until the eagle inevitably crashed and came to a halt. And they
That had
jumped
to look hilarious. There was no one there to see it. That's such a shame.
I know, right?
One penguin turns to the other.
No, they're in the South Pole. The penguins.
That's okay.
It was worth the commute just to see this.
Thank you, other penguin. Now we make perfect sense. Why don't we swim over to Finland? Oh, wait, we can't.
All right, so it's now July 14th, and they're stranded on the ice. Their equipment, which was supposed to have been used for science, became instead used to catalog their misery and misfortunes. The men kept meticulous record of their activities. There are over 200 photographs, which are sort of amazing to look at in a sort of, I know something you don't know kind of a way.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Day 47. Today we learned that inhaling hydrogen makes your voice funny. But only in the sense that projectile vomiting makes your voice funny, which it does. Sure hope we end up on a podcast, or else this was super dumb.
All right, so the men did have some guns and safety equipment, but they also had no experience with exploration, and they'd done very little planning for this part of the voyage, probably because there wasn't supposed to be this part of the voyage. Like, they weren't supposed to crash in 10 hours. Their boat, for example, that they brought was a collection of sticks. The idea being that if it was needed, they would be assembled, and then they would haul the sticks with the balloon silk. So do-it-yourself boat. Their sleds were heavy and inflexible and resembled nothing of what anyone successful had ever used. Their clothes were similarly ill-chosen. None of the men brought furs, relying instead on wool trousers and coats and oilskins. None of this was ideal when dealing with, quote, channels separating ice flows, high ridges, and partially iced-over melt ponds.
Guy's like, okay, guys, I'm ready for our Arctic adventure. I packed 10 cinder blocks and a windbreaker. And a half-gallon of hollandaise sauce. Anywhere where I could keep this warm? Do we have a place that I could just...
Oh, this is perfect. I packed a Foreman grill and also 26 feet of mirrors on a rope. We are in sync today.
Now, after crashing and before setting off, the men spent a week on the ice packing and preparing for their journey. And having already abandoned attempting to get to the North Pole, the men consulted their maps, which turned out to be faulty maps, to decide between two food depots that they were going to hope to walk to. They chose one, Cape Flora, as their destination, and now had to decide on which of their 1,700 pounds of provisions, which they packed for a balloon flight rather than an overland trek, which of these they would take. Included in these hyper-practical choices when packing, cases of champagne, port, and beer. Oh, that's good.
Amazing.
Most of the food was heavy cans of meat and cheese and condensed milk, and a bit of lemon juice to hold off the scurvy. So they were thinking
Responsible.
So they decided on most of it. That's what they were going to bring. They loaded up most of their provisions, and each man then had to pull a 400-pound sled of champagne and tinned meat.
Yeah, there's no way that lemon juice made the cut there.
So this lasted for them about a week before it broke both the sleds and the men. So they pared down each sled to just 290 pounds each, and they lived off shooting polar bears, seals, and walruses, but mostly polar bears. They shot a lot of polar bears.
Man, I hope they didn't know the story, or that's going to be really embarrassing for the polar bear, right? But these fucking idiots here? Really? Jesus. Where's global warming when you need it? Fuck.
I bet if we blow into the polar bear's asshole, we can use him to fly home.
All right, so as they walked, they discovered that walking across drifting pack ice really sucks. Like, not only is it unimaginably arduous, but the ice itself, well, it drifts. And after 10 days of walking, when they accounted for the drift of the ice, they took a reading and found that they had not gotten any closer to their goal of not dying out here. So they changed their minds, like, fuck it, turned around, and began heading in the opposite way to the other food depot. And there, the terrain was actually even worse. So the men had to crawl on all fours to fight their way across and up these steep ridges, dragging these heavy-ass sleds behind them. They made some headway, but just as they began to make progress, the wind shifted again, and they were now pushed backward. They lost all of the ground of the back-breaking weeks of trekking that they had done.
Shit. God, that sounds like being a Democrat.
Not that bad. So on September 12th, the men made a hut of snow and ice, and they resigned themselves to letting the ice flow just take them where it would, which was already what was happening, but now with less blisters, right? So the hope was that their ice flow that they were on would take them somewhere where they could live off the food provided by the sea, and perhaps the ice flow would be kinder than the winds that they had trusted their fates to earlier.
So their plan went from, I can fly a balloon to the top of our planet, to maybe the winds will push us to a TGI Fridays in like 3 days.
Little buoy floats up to them with a note. Oh, let's check this out. Please save us. The balloon thing was stupid. Okay, that's us. That was us. We did that earlier. It was kind of funny, but...
So I love this. So instead, what happened almost immediately is the ice flow that they were on broke, and it broke right under the hut that they built. So the men were forced ashore off the ice flow and onto a small island called White Island. It took a few days to bring all their stores from the ice flow to the island, but Andree, ever the optimist, remained unmoved, writing in his journal, quote, "Morale remains good. With such comrades, one should be able to manage under, I may say, any circumstances."
Spoiler alert, one was not.
Well, it was at this point that Andree's diary ceases to be coherent. And based on the sudden incoherency and the abrupt stop, it is assumed that the men all perished on that island within a few days of landing on it.
Jesus.
In 1930, 2 sealers from Norway in search of fresh water discovered the remains of Andree and his encampment, including the diaries the men kept, as well as the photos that they took. The men were celebrated inexplicably as heroes, and the remains were presented with solemn fanfare when returned to Sweden.
Huh. Well, Tom, if you had to summarize what you learned in one sentence, what would it be?
Well, if at first you don't succeed, that was your fault, and you never should have tried in the first place.
Are you ready for the quiz?
I am. Let's do it. I'm full of gas and ready to pass.
All right, Tom. I am writing a novel of this story. What should I call it? A, The Old Man and the...
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, actually. I like that.
B, Around the Globe and Never Mind I'm Dead. Or C, Harold and the Purple Useless Rayon.
All right, I got to go with C because that's a kid's book joke, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
That is correct, Harold and the Purple Useless Rayon. There you go.
All right, Tom, which song did the crew play over and over again on their voyage? A, Blimpin' Ain't Easy. B, Truth or Dirigible. C, Peaceful Breezy Feeling by the Eagles. D, Blue Swede Cruise. I like that one. Blue Swede works so many ways. They're cold, they're dead. It's just amazing. Or E, anything by Sled Zeppelin.
Sled Zeppelin. Okay, it's Sled Zeppelin just because the double pun. That's
Okay,
fucking
all right,
I'll take
all right,
that.
fair. That's fair.
All right. What were some of the other messages found on the homing pigeons as the trip got worse and the wordplay got very lazy? A, Andree was blowing smoke up my balloon knot. B, I guess you could say we're flying balloon knot over tea kettle.
Repetitive.
Ass over tea kettle. You're repetitive. Or C, I've got 99 problems and a Luftballon is all of them.
Well, although I am a fan of the balloon knot, I'm going to have to go with the Luftballon on this one.
That is correct.
All right, I can take you down, Tom. Of these failed efforts to reach the North Pole, which is the only one considered to be less successful than Andree's expedition? A, that time Calvin and Hobbes got mad and tried to run away to the Yukon. B, the sequels to the Santa Claus. C, your drunken effort in college to fuck one of them elves even if it kills you. Or D, that jackass who died in the Alaskan bus from that movie.
That's the best movie.
All right, well, that fucking guy from Alaska had it coming, so that can't be it. C, no, I got the elf. I got him. So that was... I thought Calvin made a valiant attempt. So A, I don't think it's Calvin. I feel like he did better than I thought is what I'm saying. He did better
I'm
than
sorry, sir. It was definitely the sequels to the Santa Claus. I thought I was making that easy.
Damn it.
Noah, looks like you're the winner this week.
All right, well, I'm going to... What? Fuck it. You know what? Eli. Why the hell
Oh,
not? We haven't
Jesus
suffered
Christ.
much. Eli.
Thank you.
You knew... Remember how you knew the rabbit story
I did.
before? Like that, maybe.
I know a great thing.
Doubtful. All right. Well, for Tom, Noah, Eli, and Heath, I'm Cecil. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Eli will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can catch Noah and Eli's podcast, A Huge List of Things We're Not Eating, and the sister show, Tom and Heath's You Gonna Eat That? And if you'd like to keep
Yeah, but really, are you?
And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per-episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us the 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ansem, real quick.
I have to collect these checks, but what's the problem?
No, I know. Just one thing. How are you going to keep the hydrogen inside the balloon?
Oh, I was thinking I would just, bring some extra, sort of top it up as we go.
Top it up?
Yeah,
balloon?
whenever the balloon gets low, just top it up.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to give you $2 million.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, top it up.
Yep, that's what I'm going to do.
Top it right on up.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get-started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get-started.